Hi there, and good afternoon. Welcome to Canceling COVID. I'm Tonya Rivens. Thank you for taking time to join us as we have this awesome conversation, real talk, and of course, we come up with real solutions about this pandemic that we're dealing with. Our overall goal is to keep you and your family safe as we continue to navigate through this pandemic, and this is a safe space. You get real resources to address your COVID concerns and questions. I can't emphasize this enough as you hop on. Please share this conversation so more people are made aware of the resources that are available. Thank you to Mecklenburg County Public Health, mecnc.gov 980-314-3400, mecnc.gov 980-314-3400 for their continued support as we continue to work through what we're dealing with. And it's been going on for quite some time. We still have more work to do. Another one of our sponsors is Groundwater Solutions, and she's a regular here every week. Someone asked me about Dr. Black appearing every week, and I said, she's one of the experts that comes on that's also someone who has her boots on the ground, that's always working with those out in our community. I see Erica Simonton Beatty has hopped on. Good afternoon. It was great to see you on Saturday as well. Thank you so much for coming out. So grateful for the support and your loyalty, and thank you so much for that. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself. Speaking of Saturday, Praise in the Park, a huge success. More than 2,500 attended, and Dr. Tricia Black had the a mobile unit out there doing COVID testing as well as vaccines. We'll talk more about that in just a moment, but the major headline, of course, is the COVID-19 booster shots. About 130,000 people around the country have tested positive for the virus this week. This week alone, 130,000. Now, the FDA has the latest update is showing that Pfizer's booster has been approved for seniors and those that have underlying conditions that make them more susceptible. And so that has been approved. It's expected, and it was approved for a limited amount right now. The wider group, including people over 65, people at high risk for severe illness, and possibly frontline health workers. That approval, that meeting happened earlier, and the best of that I could find in my research is all of that was approved except for the frontline workers. So high risk for severe illness as well as for our seniors. They have been approved. Pfizer can administer the booster shot. A great conversation today about just that. I got a request from one of our sponsors to talk about booster shots. And here's someone who's very comfortable with it. The conversation last week, we kind of touched on it briefly, but I know, our goal here is to educate everyone, and Groundwater Solutions right now, of course, doing so much and helping us out so much. I've got to bring in Dr. Tricia Black because this whole booster shot conversation could be pretty confusing for most people. The idea is you got one shot, two shot, and oh man, I got to go back and get another shot. And if I recall in the conversation we had before, you kind of talked about some of the other diseases that require just the same. It's not, out of the ordinary to have to go back and get a booster shot. Can you speak on that a little bit? And good afternoon, by the way.
Hi, good afternoon. And yes, I wanted to say too that I had such a fabulous time at Praise
Oh,
in the Park. It was incredible.
oh, great.
Incredible. I ate good, I praised, and I worked hard. So I love the day.
Praise
Thank you.
God, and I'm grateful for you for helping me with that. It's kind of scary, and I shouldn't say that, but this is just me. I have to get over it. When everything goes so well, and it was such an incredible event, I finally got a lot of my pictures today that I'll distribute and post. It's like, how do you
Mhm.
top that? Because I got the
I don't
feedback from
know.
so many people, and so we'll see.
You just trust God to make it better and better each time.
Amen.
Mhm.
Amen. So thank you
Amen.
for helping to make it a success.
Sure thing. But as far as the booster shots, that's typical. Many of our vaccinations require boosters. Okay.
Wow.
You'll notice, you think about your children, if you have young children, you know that you're in that cycle right now where you have their vaccination cards and they
Yeah.
have to go back. Some of them they have to take more than once. And then some of them they're going to need boosters throughout their lives. Some you need an annual booster, some you need a booster every 20 years. It just depends on the medication and what the manufacturers tell us to do. And so with the COVID vaccine, that's not unusual.
Well, hopefully people will put it in that perspective and look at it that way
Mhm.
because of all the misinformation. Like I told you, they didn't know what they're doing. Now we got to go back again. So hopefully people understand. So making the boosters available to more people, how does this help, tip the scales in the fight against COVID?
Well, I think it just increases our safety. It increases the effectiveness of the vaccine. We know what the vaccine, what the research says is that it protects against hospitalization
Hmm.
and severe illness from COVID-19. So if the booster, if the vaccine needs a booster, then it's going to ensure that that protection stays in place.
Well, I see people
You know,
hopping on.
one of the things that concerns me,
Okay, go ahead.
one of the things that concerns me is I'm not sure why we're limited to the population that you talked about, those over 65 or those with compromising
Right,
illnesses.
right,
And I'm speaking for the healthcare professional because here's the deal: when we open up a vial of vaccine, we you have to use that vaccine that day,
uh,
and there are multiple doses in one vial. I think we should go back to how we were doing at the early onset of the vaccine administration,
hmm.
where you have your appointment set for the day, but at the end of the day, if you had leftover vaccine, you could call individuals who were, at one point it was seniors only. So
Right.
you could then call folks in their, 30s or 40s or what have you, and have them come out and get their vaccine so that you didn't waste dosages. And so it's the same thing with the booster. It's the same medication, and with the restrictions, we're wasting boosters. We're
Um,
wasting the vaccines instead of being able to say those out there who want boosters who don't meet this criteria. If you're from 4 to 6, you can get your booster shot, because if not, you're just trashing the vaccine.
Well, do you think maybe it's possibly because of the hesitancy right now already? And so maybe I'm not sure how that comes into play because I would think people that want to be safe that have already taken the vaccine wouldn't have a problem with the booster so that they can keep it going. But maybe I don't know what reason it would be why people who haven't even taken the vaccine, surely it's going to be difficult to get them to come in and take the booster shot.
I would agree with that. And
Yeah.
maybe it is, again, psychological in its perception, but
Right.
I don't think making boosters available for those who want them will be controversial.
Okay.
Those who are supportive of the vaccine, they're supportive of the boosters. And those who are not for the vaccine, they're not supportive of anything, the initial shots or the boosters. So I don't think it's going to be any impact on public perception to make the boosters available every day for those who want them, because trust me, there are vaccine dosages being wasted.
So that was going to kind of lead into my next question about the pushback or hesitancy when it's time for the booster, for people to get the booster shot. But we've kind of already just really discussed that people that have gotten the vaccine more than likely are okay with the booster, and those who haven't even gotten the
Mhm.
vaccine, clearly they're not interested in anything.
Correct.
Well, I'm gonna kind of digress a little bit because I was on a conversation conference call this morning, and I would just love your thoughts because you are out and about. Is obviously I work in urban radio, and urban is the PC way of saying black radio. And the conversation
Hmm.
was about, and that's what I worked for all my life, my whole career. And the conversation was about the owner trying to decide if he wanted to mandate vaccines or the vaccination for his staff. And I've already shared as a business owner, I'm going to protect my property. And if you have a problem with that, then we've got a problem because I can't afford an outbreak. I can't afford to shut down. I'm a business owner. I've invested my life into this and I need to protect it. But he was kind of concerned. He didn't want to offend anybody. And one of the points that he made is that it seems to be more black males than anyone else that he's running into that just don't want to take it. Are you seeing that? I mean, I know there's also the other side, some people that seem to be um, lining up along political lines. But would you say that you see in the African American community more African American males than females that just say they're not taking it?
I can't say that I've seen a more per gender.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing it across the board that there are black men and women,
Okay.
older folks and younger folks who are refusing the vaccine. And I'm seeing that same, maybe in among other cultures, middle age to younger who are refusing the vaccine. I
Right.
think in the Black community, though, most of our seniors are for it. Especially since the media really talked about the safety of our seniors. So for white, Black, Asian, I'm seeing seniors really be pro-vaccine. Middle age, it's just really a toss of the. I'm surprised sometimes the folks who are refusing the vaccines, and I'm surprised sometimes with folks who are accepting it. And I can't, that's one of the things I want to do is I want to do some research around who's out there.
Okay.
What their beliefs are by culture, by gender. We actually talked about that about a week ago. So no, I don't think it's more males. I know there are lots of Black males who are very supportive of the vaccine,
Mhm.
from teenagers to older seniors. They're very pro-vaccine.
Yeah, that was just his observation, and clearly, it obviously, is around his profession and his company, and he was just saying, I just don't get it. But Pfizer, back to talking about the booster shot. Pfizer's making the news this week by saying its COVID vaccine is now safe for children as young as 5, and it's been a challenge now to get adults vaccinated. And now we'll see what comes of the booster, but the process going for young children once this vaccine is approved. What are your thoughts on how this is going to work out?
Well, again, I think those families that support the vaccine are going to rush in and are already. I've had parents tell me they couldn't wait for the vaccine to come out for their young children. So those who want it, they're going to run to the doctor's office. They're going
Hmm.
to make sure that their children are vaccinated. I think it will probably be about the same number of adolescents. That will reach the same percentages with young children as we do with the teens who are vaccinated.
Well, it's really got to be quite frightening. And I think you and I talked about this as well. Sending your children off to school and, these mask on, mask off, and,
Mhm,
packing them up with a little small can of Lysol or whatever it needs to try to protect him or her, these little angels out there. They're just trying to get educated. And we've got people kind
mhm,
of um, I would say just playing some other card. And at the
mhm,
end of the day, we need our children in school and we don't need them to bring it home to us.
mhm,
So, I did see where, and I appreciate you because you said from the start, I need our leaders to be more forceful. I need for them to
mhm,
say, and President Biden came out and said, 100 employees or more, you
mhm,
either will be vaccinated or tested. And
mhm,
so I saw now our health director for the state, Mandy Cohen's, when Union County kind of back and forth with this mask and what they were doing, she kind of stepped in and said, look, this is what you're going to do. So I can really
mhm.
appreciate that happening. But kind of talk about, do you see more of that happening?
Well, here's the challenge. And I found out last night that my granddaughter has COVID-19, is
Oh
positive.
my.
Um, and again, it's contracted at school. It's hard as a parent. It's very difficult. It's terrifying for many parents to send their children to school
Yeah.
knowing that they can't be there physically to protect them, to make sure that they're wearing their masks.
Hmm.
And here's the challenge, Tanya, and this might be controversial at the state level, but the state of North Carolina put out an RFP or a request for companies to come into the school to provide COVID testing,
Okay.
right?
Hmm.
For to the staff and students, I believe. And they selected two companies who are not located in North Carolina.
Wow.
Yeah, even though they've had proposals from companies in North Carolina, they selected these large companies from outside. Well, not one swab has occurred in North Carolina schools, and we're a month in.
Oh my.
Or really, some of schools you're over a month in, but that those companies are not ready to mobilize. So we don't have any testing going on in the schools,
Mm,
which we know is needed. If
right.
you're going to have a lot of people in a congregate area, there must be testing regularly. And so we're sending these babies to school. We're saying, oh, some schools maybe they're wearing masks and some schools aren't, and there's no testing.
Mm.
What are we thinking about?
So who's that decision is made by the state health director, or is it made by our state lawmakers, or is it made by the governor?
It's made by the procurement office
Okay.
with the state.
Okay. So maybe for those that again have hopped on, and especially if you have children in school, it might be worth a phone call, an email, because that's some pretty heavy stuff, and we're kind of shooting
Mhm.
ourselves in the foot for lack of a better way of presenting it. Because
Right.
certainly I don't encourage violence, but here we know what we're dealing with, and it just kind of makes you want to go. What are we thinking? Because we've seen this as we've approached,
Yeah.
seems like every
He-
step of
Help
the way. We
help
know
us
the
make
situation.
sense of that when
Right,
we know that those are the things that curbs the spread,
right.
and we're not doing any of them. But then we're
Absolutely.
surprised when the numbers of cases of positives for children is rising. Of course, is rising because
Yes.
we put them in the same conditions of before we knew what to do. And COVID was everywhere. They're right back there, and we're not doing anything that we know to do to protect them.
Wow. And that's so unfortunate. And I did see a report where in the New York City schools, they have launched where they are doing their testing
Mhm.
randomly every week of their students. And
That is the only way for us to be able to safely send our children to school. And it should have happened in August when school opened, and we are being irresponsible not to be testing in those schools.
and soon we'll be in October. So speaking of
Mhm,
October, the first day of fall happening, trending headline is of course the holidays.
mhm,
52% of vaccinated people in a new Harris poll say they are uncomfortable with spending the holidays with unvaccinated family and friends. And I'd love for our viewers kind of to share their thoughts on this. Jump in the chat and weigh in. Let us know if you're hesitant about holiday gatherings and what are your thoughts on this, Dr. Black? Because here we go again, another holiday season where we might have to
mhm,
do some drive-bys for our meals.
mhm.
Come on, y'all. We got to do better than this.
Yeah. Family is so important. And I'm hoping that our holidays are not like that, where we're doing drive-bys. I think at this point, it is so important that we spend quality time with our families. I don't know if you even got a copy of the booklet that we produced
I did. I
for
have
praising the
one.
park.
Yeah, I have one. Absolutely.
Okay.
I have.
But one of the things that we developed a motto for that called talk, listen, live. It is so important that we talk and we listen to each other, regardless of our point of view. We cannot let COVID-19 keep us divided. So I'm hoping that we will spend time with our family members, regardless of their vaccination status. The things that I'll be doing if I'm going to host in my home, which I don't know, is I'm going to be asking about your if you're not vaccinated, have you taken your test? I want to know those things. I want to know that you're COVID free when you come to my house. I may have some rapid tests on hand. And folks, if you want rapid tests, we will help you with that. And if you want to test at your door, maybe if I'd rather you do that than not spend time with your family. Just ensure that everybody's safe. It's important that we come together.
Yeah, we need that socialization part. But talk about the booklet a little bit. I did get one. My husband went over and got tested. I was great. He's been vaccinated, but he was talking to Terry and he was like, "Well, when's the last time you got tested?" And so he went and got tested again. It came back negative, of course, but the booklet was so
Yeah.
powerful. And kind of share what that booklet was about because we haven't talked about it.
Right. So the booklet was a way to provide information to the community regarding COVID-19, regarding the vaccine, and ways to stay healthy. I really tried to give honest information, the good, the bad, and a full picture for those so that you can make an informed decision. But for you to know how serious COVID-19 is, it's not a fake virus. It is really devastating our community. And in order to get a handle on it, we're all going to have to take some safety steps, and we're all going to have to get healthy. And so the booklet was a guide to do those specific things.
And hopefully, this book, people that picked it up will go through it and look through it and use these suggestions. In
Mhm,
there, what are some of the preparations that were made or noteworthy as far as people preparing for the holiday season? Because, like I said, October's next week, and then it's Thanksgiving, which typically is huge for families getting
mhm,
together. So,
mhm,
you mentioned having a rapid test on hand. Obviously, I would think
mhm.
people would have masks and hand
Yes.
sanitizer. But when you start getting to the physical distancing part and obviously eating,
Mhm.
which is a big
Yeah.
part of Thanksgiving, are there any other suggestions or precautions?
Well, definitely have your make Make sure everybody washes their hands when they come in the house. Wash their hands. Um, I, I would honestly leave shoes at the door. We know that COVID-19 travels at on the bottom of our shoes, so maybe having folks take their shoes off at the door. I would really suggest the rapid test, or to keep your mask on unless you are seated at the table and eating. Just like you do in restaurants. When you go in the restaurant, you see folks wearing their masks until they get to their table. I would suggest that for your household, even during that time. It's about safety. And if you can have people spread out at different sections
Yeah.
for seating, I think that's a very good idea. Have your hand sanitizer at the table as well as requiring them to wash their hands with soap and water.
And Dr. Black, we've got some people hopping on in addition to Erica Simonton Beatty, Travis Rivens, good afternoon, and Jacqueline Hill, good afternoon. Hey guys, jump in our chat and weigh in and let us know what do you think about the holiday season. Are you making any adjustments or any plans? Because we've got this spike happening, and of course, we're here again this year. Hopefully, we will be able to all come together and not have to deal with the whole separation. And as we say, drive-bys, you got to get a carry-out plate. It's just not the same. And it's certainly not fun because you don't get to socialize with your family members. So, Dr.
Tonya, I'm going to suggest that have a family meeting. You know, it's September, we're moving into October. Have a family meeting and talk about how your family wants to handle the holidays, and have COVID-19 safety on the agenda.
That's a
You
good
know,
one.
one of the things we don't do, a lot of families, is really meet to discuss and problem solve and plan. Well,
Right.
do that this year. Let this be the first year you do that. Call your and then talk about other things that might be impacting your family that others haven't had a chance to talk about. But talk about COVID-19. Talk about the vaccine. And use that booklet as a guide with answers to questions that your family members might have. Understand each other. Listen, and you might learn something about each other.
Absolutely. And so, speaking of the booklet, as we get some updates from you on where you are today and the latest, where can people also pick up that booklet? So, we're going to talk testing and vaccinations
Mhm.
today. And if people want to pick up this booklet that we are talking about.
So we will have the booklet at all sites where we're out in the community. We have them in our offices in Charlotte, North Carolina, as well as our offices in Henderson, North Carolina, in Vance County. You can call our office at 704-596-0505. We will mail you copies of the booklet. I think it was well received. We launched the booklet at the Praise in the Park event, and there were folks who came back and said, "Hey, can I have 3 more of those to give to people that I care about?" So we
Good.
will mail you booklets. And you can pick them up in our office or at our events.
Oh, good stuff. And yeah, easy. It's an easy read too. So that's really great. Any final
Mhm.
thoughts, Dr. Black, as we wrap things up?
No, our teams today they're actually in Washington, North Carolina.
Okay.
So we are out of the state. We're also in Oxford, North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
And of course, every day we're at our office at 5104 Reagan Drive. And you can just drive up and you don't have to get out of your car. And we have brief waiting times. Typically, we can get you in and out within about 20 minutes to get you your weekly COVID test.
And you're expanding. So again,
Mhm.
congratulations and thank you so
Thank
much. You
you.
helped me so much with this conversation ongoing. We could not have been successful without you. And I just want to say thank you. I appreciate all that you do. All right.
You as well. Thank you.
Oh,
Bye,
Dr.
everybody.
Shack. She's with Groundwater Solutions, folks. Some really good stuff. Other stuff to share with you as we start to wrap things up. You all still have time to jump in the chat and share your comments about the holiday season. What do you plan to do as we are seeing another spike? In other news, just days after nearly 600 unvaccinated employees were suspended, Mecklenburg County is changing its COVID-19 testing policy. Now, unvaccinated employees just have to show proof that they've been tested instead of showing proof of a positive result. This is to account for any lab delays that may have happened. 600, that's a lot of people. Meantime, Novant Health has suspended 375 employees for not getting a COVID-19 vaccination. They were required to have at least one dose by September 15th and be fully vaccinated by October 15th. Atrium Health has given its employees until October 31st to be fully vaccinated. It's kind of, this whole healthcare workers and the healthcare field encouraging people to get vaccinated, and then they are not doing it. That right there just makes you stop and wonder, how are we going to ever get out of this if we can't just come together and try to figure out where everyone realizes they have a role to play. And it may not always be exactly what you want to do, but we also have to consider what we're doing for our community. I want to, again, thank everyone for coming out. Praise in the Park on Saturday, just amazing. You heard Dr. Black. They played a huge role in it. Again, more than 2,500 in attendance, vendors. I've heard from so many people. And the one thing that really stayed with me that I just didn't realize and took for granted, where could you go where you have such a diverse audience, gender, age, race, and it was a safe space for everyone. Kids playing out in the field, everyone coming together, and it was all on a positive note, all inspiration. We had some amazing vendors from all around, very impactful. And it was just a great, great Saturday. We had a storm to come through, and it wasn't even a storm. Some rain just blew right over, and only a few people even left. They were like, I'm here to stay. They popped out their umbrellas. It maybe was 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and moved on. And that was it. So I can't say enough, and there are not enough words to say from the bottom of my heart. Thank you all so much. The town of Cornelius Police, absolutely phenomenal and amazing in their support. I also need to share, coming up on October 3rd, my amazing producer and I, along with Tony 180 Productions. Hopefully I got that right. If not, I've got Friday. The town hall that's going to be on Impact Network rather, is happening on October 3rd. We'll get you more information about it. We need for you to tune in, and you'll see how canceling COVID has been elevated now in the national spotlight, a part of, again, National Network, Impact Network, and their town hall discussion. We partnered as a result of your support of this show and the team that I put together. We worked really hard at this, and we're excited about this town hall. It's going to be 2 parts, and you'll get an opportunity to see how this work is all coming together to help our community. So I'm going to wrap things up here. I was hoping we could get some comments in the chat, but what you can do, you can still comment on our question of the day. Again, it's about the holiday season. Are you planning on making any changes as a result of the spike that we've got happening now with COVID-19? I'll be back on Friday, so make your comment. Do you think you'll attend holiday gatherings this year, or are you going to settle for an abbreviated gathering as we had to do last year? Dr. Black shared, and I agree, socialization is so important, and being with family and loved ones, especially with everything that we're dealing with. So hopefully you will make the comments as well as share this program so that people who weren't able to hop on will have an opportunity to see the great information that's being shared. As always, life's challenges make you better, not bitter. I'm Tonya Rivens. Thank you so much to our sponsors, Mecklenburg County Public Health, mecnc.gov, and of course, Groundwater Solutions, Dr. Tracia Black, and the great work that they're doing in our community. I'll see you on Friday. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions or comments at TonyaRivens@AOL.com. And don't forget to share this broadcast. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy your afternoon.